How far are you willing to go for an epic lunch? Well, we went all the way to Milan just to eat at Papa Francesco's.
You are listening to Travel FOMO, a podcast for people self-diagnosed with wanderlust.
Thank you for listening to the Travel FOMO podcast. My name is Jamin Houghton, and I am here as always with my wife and fellow foodie, Hillary.
Thank you. Hello.
And we are in the middle of season 7, our Mediterranean Europe swing. We are at our second stop in Italy at a little old place called Milan.
A little old place called Milan, which felt really familiar for you.
Yes.
Because you'd been there before.
Yeah, on this whole trip, really I had only ever been to London, Bath, and Rome. And everywhere else was new for me. Well, and Milan.
Yeah.
And everywhere else was new for me. So it felt kind of good coming to a familiar city.
Yeah.
I do love Milan. Like, I'm a big fan of Milan. I love all the stuff there. You can go back and listen to our episode on Milan where we talk about the Duomo and the Last Supper and the Galleria and all of the Milan stuff that we did. And you'll also know, if you go back and listen to that, you'll hear the reason that we had to come back to Milan.
Yes. Very important.
Yes. Because our first Italian meal together was stolen from us. But before we get into that,
yes.
Why don't you talk about Milan for just a little bit?
Yes.
For anyone who's not familiar.
Right. Well, and just to clarify, we were coming from Cinque Terre.
Mm-hmm.
We were headed up to Lake Como, which was actually kind of a late addition. We, didn't know for sure. Originally, we hadn't planned on going to Lake Como. We eventually added it to the schedule. And then when we realized that we were going to Lake Como, we realized we were going to be stopping in Milan, and we could really make it count.
This was our chance.
It was very exciting.
Yeah.
So that is how we came to be in Milan on this particular day. But man, let's just remind ourselves of the personality of Milan. It's like urban chic meets old Europe.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it. And you've got the city, you've got fashion, you've got tons of history and art.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, there's the Galleria, the Duomo. There's a palace, or I say palace, a castle.
A castle, a huge castle.
Yeah, huge castle. The Last Supper, there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like Milan? It's great.
Yeah. And you can go for all of those reasons, and you should go for all of those reasons. But we went to eat at Papa Francesco's.
Yes.
3 years prior to this meal, we had made reservations to go to Papa Francesco's. We were all excited about it. And we show up and we're quickly ushered into the restaurant that's right next door. And you could tell that they had tried to make it look like Papa Francesco. And we even asked them, or we said we have a reservation.
Yes.
And see. And they're showing us in and we're like, Papa Francesco. Yeah, see. And
so misleading.
Yeah. They pull us in to the restaurant next door that Papa Francesco lovingly refers to as the tobacco shop. And we sat there, we ordered a bottle of wine. They had opened the bottle of wine before we realized, oh, wait, we're not at Papa Francesco's.
Not where we want to be.
Yeah. And so we had to sit there and watch everyone at Papa Francesco's enjoy their meals, have so much fun, live their best life while we laughing,
clapping at Papa Francesco.
All celebrations while we ate microwaved lasagna at the place next door.
Yeah, you can tell too, after getting to hear Papa Francesco speak this time while we were there, he doesn't know a ton of English. No. But he knows words like tobacco shop and microwave.
Yes.
And he uses them to talk about the restaurant next door, the deceptive restaurant next door.
That is That is kind of amazing to like that rival like relationship, because you can tell like it so offends him that this restaurant, basically Papa Francesco's restaurant, is so good that another restaurant exists without even serving Papa Francesco's food, just by being in proximity to Papa Francesco.
Yeah.
And it really bothers him, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
And he lets him know about it.
Yes.
Like, he trashes the place next door all the time. And it's really funny.
But, good question, though. Did he do that when we were there? Because I don't remember him acknowledging that there was a problem originally.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah.
And you could tell that they had done some stuff, like Papa Francesco had put in like a row of like shrubs, like potted plants in
really
between the two themselves. At this point, I think, to like make a clear dividing line. And Papa Francesco got new like linens and stuff for his restaurant, so that they don't look the same anymore, because the place next door had definitely just copied straight whatever it was. And so like you can tell more now that they're two separate places, as opposed to when we were there the first time. But we arrived in Milan like mid-morning. I think it was like 10:30, and it's like probably like a 30-minute walk.
It felt longer to me.
You weren't feeling too well.
I was not feeling good. I had like, ever since we'd hiked the Cinque Terre, I think it really depleted me, and I think it kind of made me vulnerable to kind of like getting sick.
Yeah.
And I remember having chills that night after we hiked, and like being like, I'm not feeling great. This is what it feels like when I start to feel bad. And then, the next morning we head out to Milan, and I was like, oh, walking across all of Milan was not good. Even though we left our luggage in a locker next to the train station. We didn't haul luggage, all the way across Milan.
No, it was just
but we did walk, and that was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a long walk to get across the city. And basically Papa Francesco's is right outside the Galleria. So if you are at the Duomo, which if you're going to Milan, and if you don't end up in front of the Duomo, I don't know what to do for you. I don't know how to help you. But if you're standing in front of the Duomo, you can walk straight through the Galleria and take a right, and Papa Francesco's is right there.
Yeah.
So it's prominently located next to all the stuff that you want to see and do. And we walk up at, I think it was like 11:15 or something.
It was a little early. It was a different scene because, the first time we'd been, it was like evening. It was really busy. Right. And this was like, I felt like a really eager beaver. Like I was like, I need this pasta. Really, I'm here and you're not even open yet.
But we were greeted by Mama Francesco.
Oh, she is glorious. She's like so fab, isn't she?
Yes.
Just very, she reminds me of your grandmother Happy.
Yeah. She's
your grandmother Happy was so glamorous, and that is like Mama Francesco.
Yeah, very well put together, very classy and glamorous. Yes. She told us that they opened at noon. So we were a little early.
A little wee bit early.
Fortunately, we were right next to the Galleria and the Duomo. So like we walked around, saw some stuff, like did a little window shopping and things like that.
I went into H&M.
Pass the time. That's right.
I was like, I loved going into H&M everywhere we went. I was like, oh yeah, let me see what they got here. And I have a lot more respect for them because they are so international. They are everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see how the style is different, even in the same season. It was really fun to see what clothes were in which stores. So
yeah, it was kind of cool to see everywhere, and they put themselves in really cool buildings.
Oh my gosh, good point. Great, really fun. Old historic buildings. They will show up anywhere people are.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, so like they were in a lot of really cool spots.
Yeah.
But finally we had spent enough time wandering around that we came back We waited till like 5 afternoon.
No, it was exactly noon.
Be a little bit cool. But we got set. We did get the first table.
Yes,
was ours.
We sure did.
We beat everyone to the punch and made sure, double sure, that we were inside Papa Francesco's. It was even embroidered on the napkins, so I finally felt safe.
Oh.
And we ordered some spritzes, and then we just proceeded to have the best pasta in the world.
Well, and I wasn't even planning on getting an Aperol spritz, but then Mama Francesco recommended it. She was like, "Oh, yes, this is what you want. You need this." And I was like, "Yes, I do. I need it. I need it."
If you're listening to this, you like a good adventure. And if you like a good adventure, you might enjoy following the fights. It all started with Mars and Ashley's bold decision to travel full-time in their converted Sprinter van. Fast forward 6 years or so, they've seen all 50 states and backpack countries like Thailand and Guatemala. It's been one daring decision after another, and now they're braving another big adventure, building a creative retreat in the Colorado Rockies. Find out what life is like when you take risk. Follow the fights on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
Her English was also a little limited.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe selectively.
Oh, that's cute.
Because I feel like there was like recommendations for spritzes that we were unsure about and ended up ordering anyway, and the same with the tiramisu after like lunch. It was very much like, you're gonna have the tiramisu. It was that definitely that like grandmothery, like
hospitality.
This is what you're having.
Yes,
like,
I know what you need.
You haven't eaten enough. You need to eat more. This is what's happening right now.
Yeah. Well, and for those of you who might not know, in Italy, one of the popular drinks that a lot of people drink regularly is the Aperol spritz. Right?
Yes.
That's more of an Italian thing, right?
Yeah, it's an Italian thing. Definitely a Roman thing.
Okay. Cool.
And so if you're in Rome, it's kind of like a rite of passage. They're everywhere, but all throughout all of Italy.
Yeah.
We had several, and I like them. You are not as big a fan.
Yeah, but I don't turn down pretty much any alcohol. So
they are very refreshing. I feel like they're refreshing. It's nice to have, like on a hot day, sit outside and have a spritz. Well, I don't drink them in the United States. But in Italy.
I mean, I do believe in the whole when in Rome thing. I really believe in that. Like, I believe if you are somewhere, you should eat their food and have their drinks and experience life the way they do. So that's the reason I drink it.
I agree. And I will say, like, I'm a lot more picky in the U.S. about my food and about what I want. And I'll ask for stuff to maybe be altered or substitutes on menus and things like that. But I'm the same as you. I think when you're traveling, you like try it their way. Like there's a reason that they do it, and it's part of experiencing the culture.
Yes.
So just embrace it and go with it. And so in Italy, that's the Aperol spritz.
Yeah, exactly.
But we ordered the pasta alla Papa, and they brought it out. He had his big wheel of cheese. He was there. They light the cheese on fire with some alcohol and get it all melty. Pour the hot pasta on top. Papa Francesco does his little dance with his spoons, mixes it all up, gets it extra cheesy, puts it in your bowl for you, and then sprinkles a little parsley or oregano over the top and sends it out to you fresh and warm and awesome, just like it was supposed to be 3 years ago.
Waited a long time. It's been a long time coming, but we got it. And the thing that was so cool is that there were very few people there at that point. Yeah. Like it was still just really us and maybe 2 other couples, I think.
Yeah.
And it was so fun to get like such undivided attention.
Yes.
From Papa Francesco, especially after having missed the whole scene completely last time.
Yeah.
It just felt really rewarding, and they were very present.
Yes.
And that was really fun, and still gave us the big show too. Like, even though there was only a handful of us there, like he did his whole big deal.
And I was a little worried that, like, because we were coming for lunch, and so I thought there's a chance Papa Francesco won't actually be there himself.
Yeah.
That he might just come in for dinner. And I also thought there's a possibility that they don't do the big wheel of cheese thing for lunch either.
Oh, you did not tell me these concerns.
Well,
as I was hiking across the city.
We had to take our chance, shoot our shot. This was our one chance to redeem ourselves.
Yeah.
And it was fully there. That whole kind of like display and show just makes it this fun sort of festive atmosphere that gets you really excited. Lets Mama Francesco talk you into the tiramisu at noon.
Oh, man. And I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
Everything we said yes to, I'm like, I do not regret any of that. I'm still working off those pounds, but I don't care. That was so worth it. Yeah, but man, I was not feeling great that day, though.
No, you weren't. It wasn't as fun a day for you because you were feeling under the weather. Under the weather.
I had chills. I was just totally fatigued. But then we had to hike back to the train station too.
Yep.
It was short-lived.
Yeah, we were headed back to the train station, had to make it to Como. So if you thought that we were just baiting you into something about this episode being merely us 100% going to Milan just to eat at Papa Francesco's, that's no lie. That's exactly what we did.
Literally. That is it. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And I don't feel like that there are many opportunities when you do miss something, especially when you're traveling, when you miss something that you get to go back and do that thing.
Yeah.
Unless you are, and I mean, I guess a lot of people do travel to the same places a lot. There are people that have their spot that they like to go to.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's fair. I like doing that too. I definitely like familiarity and knowing. And so I like going back to places that I know I'm going to get what I want. But if you're traveling around a lot, and especially if you're traveling far, like to a place like Italy and Milan, we're we don't know that we'll ever go back to Milan. I love Milan and I would like to go back. And if you offered me a trip, I would go. But there's just so many places that you're I'm not sure I'll ever make it back. And so you have this sort of experience that you're looking forward to that sort of got robbed from you for one reason or another. We got tricked into it. Maybe something gets rained out or the weather just doesn't, or it's closed for some reason. There's so few instances I feel where you actually get to go back and experience that thing and it all works out and you really get to do it.
Yeah.
And this one landed for us and I thought that was really cool.
That's really fun. I thought it was a great idea. I feel like it was your idea. You were we could stop in Milan.
Yes. Well, like you had said, Como was a late ad for us. We just kept seeing, I think on Instagram, we just kept seeing pictures of Lake Como, and we're like, man, we got to we've got to really,
we're gonna be so close. We got to do that.
And so when we added Como, I was like, we're going to have to go through Milan.
Yeah.
To get to Como.
To change trains or something. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know that I can physically be in Milan and not go back and try to eat at Papa Francesco's. So. And
you did.
Yeah.
So proud of us. Look at us. So how did it make you feel? I mean, you got to one, you were back in Milan. So you're on relatively familiar territory.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
And you got to eat there.
I did enjoy it because you have that familiarity and you turn down a street that you've been down before and you're like, oh yeah, and it kind of brings back those feelings and
you remember things so well. How you remember. Okay, guys, in a couple episodes we're going to be in Rome, and he remembered after 3 years he could still literally walk us without a map. He could walk us from the Trevi Fountain to the Airbnb that we had stayed at. And he was dead right. It was crazy.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty good directionally, and I have a pretty good memory for streets and buildings and things like that. And so yeah, being back in Milan, I could definitely we turned onto one of the main streets that we'd walked down before, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. And those feelings come back, and the just that excited nature. I really like Milan because it does have that mix of fashion and like modernness, like with old history, and a castle. The Duomo is an amazing building. The art there is really cool, and so I was excited to just be back in it again. And then it was just kind of this funny, stupid idea that on a normal given day wouldn't be like, hey, let's actually go back to Milan and do that. Like, it'd be a huge expensive trip. Right. But for this, it was just a long stop.
The cost of the meal.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly. It was very fulfilling. Sort of scratched that itch of like, man, there was that thing I didn't get to do that I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I got to close that up.
Does that mean you're going to take me to Zermatt to go snow skiing? Because I didn't get to do that. Now you can relate to me. You'd
so
be like, I'm going to have to take her back to Switzerland so she can snow ski in Switzerland.
Well, the next time that we are changing trains in Zermatt.
Oh my gosh.
You can just like hop off the train, go snow ski.
Perfect.
Get back on, and we'll continue on our way. So the next time,
I'm going to hold you to that.
that we're just skipping through Zermatt, we'll do it. But how did it make you feel?
Funny. I thought it was great. It was fun. It was a great sunny day, excellent weather. Yeah. Honestly, I haven't been to Italy where there wasn't excellent weather, so I'm a big fan. But yeah, it was such a nice day. I will say we were like the only ones in the restaurant at first. Yeah. Out on the patio and stuff. And I remember thinking like, oh, I want to like film so much, but it's so obvious. And that we're like crazy excited to be here. And I felt a little fanboy, like, yeah. So, but I just had to get over that, and they ate it up. They like totally didn't care. Like, they're like, yeah, this is great. Like, yeah. And everyone, once a couple other people started showing up to the restaurant, they were very much like, filming on their phones and stuff like that. So, but I thought it was fun. Yeah. And I did get a sense of it being familiar. I'm not as good with absorbing, not just information, but you're really good at absorbing context of a present situation, surroundings. You are very observant. And so I'm not as observant. And so it didn't feel as familiar to me, but I felt confident as we were walking from the train station. I was like, oh, this is great because he's totally got this. And I can just like trail behind him 5 feet and like hope to keep up and stuff. So yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You will want to go check us out on social media. We'll be posting about our long time in Milan where we had lunch at Papa Francesco's. You can find us in all the places. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of those. And then obviously our YouTube channel. You can go subscribe there as well. This video is short and sweet because we didn't do a whole lot, but you actually get to see Papa Francesco. You get to hear him. He even throws some shade at the microwave restaurant next door. So you'll want to go check that out, see the famous wheel of cheese for yourself, and absorb all of that. And you can find us at, our handle is Travel FOMO Podcast.
That's right. And you can also send us an email. We open up a new email account so we can hear from you guys. And that email address is travelfomopodcast@gmail.com. FOMO is FOMO. Just a heads up, guys. And we really want to bring you guys into this podcast. So we would love to hear from you in terms of your own stories. So yeah. I'll go ahead and throw this out there. Have you ever been to a place a second time and got to right the wrong, kind of like we did? Have you ever gotten to go somewhere and make it the experience that it was not on the first time? I think that would be really interesting to hear from people. Yeah. I'm just going to keep throwing out ideas to you guys because I'm dying to hear from y'all. And I just am not going to stop. So there's 2 ways you could do that. You can just type an email and we'll read it on the air and show everybody the air. This is the air, guys. We are on the air. Or you can pick up your little phone, because cell phones are so amazing nowadays. You can just create a voice memo and talk into your phone and then attach that voice memo to your email, and you will be on the podcast, your own voice, telling your own story. And that would be brilliant.
Yes.
So that is my preference, and I'm going to keep plugging that. But whatever you're doing, go out there. I know spring break is over, and a lot of people are kind of itching to decide what are they going to be doing in the summertime, maybe in the fall. If you're planning a trip, just remember to do it well, do your research, and remember to do it, honestly, because life is short.
Wonder well.